Hello everybody, my name is Tempo. I'm a software developer with 3 years experience in the industry. I'm a main stack developer. I have experience in the front end and the back end. I also have a YouTube channel where I teach programming courses. The name of my YouTube channel is called Temtech. So right now, today we are going to create a very simple course on HTML. We are going to get down to the computer to start creating our course. So let's go, guys. Hello everybody, I welcome you all today. In our today's course, we are going to create a contact us application using HTML and CSS. If you look right here on my desktop, you can see I have a simple application. This is a simple contact us application. This is just the UI parts. I designed this using HTML and CSS. This is what we are going to quickly create now. So now we are going to head. Let's just start now. Let's start creating this application. I will quickly create a project for this application. And how do you do that? I will just go to my desktop and create a project. Remember, you can as well create this project in any location of your choice. But here, I'm going to choose the desktop so that to make it easy, accessible, I'll call it contact. I'll call it contact us. Contact us. This is the project I've just created. Now I'm going to head to my VS Code. Remember, VS Code is the IDE. That's the code editor of my choice. We also have other IDEs like the Sublime and Atom and others. So now let me go to VS Code. This is VS Code. VS Code is a code editor I'm going to use for this course, and our browser for this course I'm going to use Chrome, the Google Chrome. Okay, so now if you come to the VS Code, my VS Code is open right here. I'm going to click, you choose this, the way to start, you click this file, you select this file, or you can as well do drag and drop, but I'm going to use this file. When you click this file, you click open folder. When you click open folder, go to desktop. The desktop is the location where I created a new folder. I'll choose this folder I just created now and open it in my VS Code. It's opening, it's coming up. Let's wait a little few seconds. It's coming up. Okay, yeah, it's here. It's loading, it's still loading. Okay, so now if you watch, you will see that we'll have this folder open in our VS Code. The next question you're going to ask, how do you start creating your HTML file and a CSS file? Okay, and how do you also make it to come up on the Chrome browser to become a website? Okay, so this is a welcome message. You can just close this, we don't need it. Come to this place, look, come to this file, hover over this file and look at this place, this new file tab, click it. This will help you to create HTML file. I'm going to call this index.html. This index.html, we have just created, this is the way to create a HTML file. I've created this HTML file, and I'll quickly create, you remember you can also start writing by HTML, but now I'm going to use what you call the HTML snippet, HTML boilerplate. I'm going to use what we call the HTML boilerplate by using the exclamation mark. So let me clean up this. I'll just do, you click, hold your shift key and press 1. When you press 1, this stuff will come up here. Look at this exclamation mark will come up. You either hit your enter key to choose this one, the one that is just one exclamation mark. Don't take this 3, take this one. Either you use your tab key or you choose, you select it. When you select this, it's going to create a simple HTML boilerplate. Look at it. This is just the HTML boilerplate. And what are the content? It has this doc type. This doc type defines that this is HTML 5. It means that this is HTML document type 5. Okay, so now this is, look at this HTML tag. This HTML tag is the parent of all the tag that will write inside this file. It's going, every code we are writing inside this will be inside this it will be inside this HTML tag. Okay, so the HTML tag is like a parent of the HTML file. Everything we are writing in that HTML, and it has a direct two children of a head tag. The head tag, look at this, is the head tag and this is the body tag. Okay, so everything you are writing inside, everything everything we have here, look at this place, everything we have here from this place we are seeing, okay, is inside the body tag. Then the head tag has this, the head tag contains this place we write contact us, which we call the title, and the favicon is where you find the head tag. And as well, there are other content you can add in the head tag, like the all this meta tag, like when you want to add a description for your SEOs and other content. This is where you write your SEO meta tag, is inside the head tag. And if you look at here now, we have this viewport, the content width, the device width. This helps in building the responsiveness of the website. That's why you need this HTML doc type 5. This definition, HTML doc type, it helps to create a good responsive HTML website. So now I'm going to start, and what I'm going to do first is to change the, let me quickly start this. Let me go to live server. I'll right click, or let me just write a simple, let me call this h3, and I'll call this contact us. I'll call this a contact us. Okay, so now I want to start this website. How do you make this website now to come up and on the Chrome, or how do you make it now to come on this browser? Okay, so what you're going to do is you right click, and before you do that, make sure you have this live server extension. Look at, I'll come to this place, extension, click it, you search for live server. If you search for live server, look at this live server, make sure you install this extension. That's what will help you to bring up your website using the live server extension. As well, you can also do the manual part where you go to the file, that project we created, and open it with your browser, any browser of your choice. So now I'm going to right click, then choose open with live server. We are going to be a little fast here. We have 15 minutes to do this course, I think. Yeah, 15 minutes. So now look at it, our website is up. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the HTML title. If you look at here, look at this line 6 is the title. Look at where it's showing here. It's written document. So let's quickly change it to contact us. Let's quickly change it to contact. Let's call it contact form, so that to differentiate from the one we have origin. So now this is, if you go here, this is the title. Look at what's going to happen. Look at it here, contact form, it has changed. So this is where your title lies, okay? And this small icon you are seeing here is the favicon. You can actually change the favicon, but we are not going to work on the favicon here. So now let's start creating our website. Let's start creating this form. Now that we have created our simple boilerplate, let me remove this. Let's officially start creating this. Let's start officially creating this. And inside this, we are going to create a div. This div is going to be the container that will hold. It's going to be the container that will hold everything we are doing in this. Let's give it a class name of container. Let's give it a class name of container. And inside this, we are going to create another div. Okay. Now this one, we are going to give it a class of form wrapper. Let's give it a class of form wrapper. Okay. So this is a class of form wrapper. So inside this, we are going to have, let's write a H3 inside this. We'll call it contact us, and I'll show you what this is. Let's give it a class of, this will be the title of the form. Let's give it a class of title. Okay, so inside this now, we are going to have our form tag. Remember, what you are doing is contact form. So make sure that your form, you tie it with the form tag. So the form, the form tag, we are going to give it an ID of, let's call it my ID of my form. Okay, so inside it again, we are going to have a div. I will quickly show you what this is on the web. We are going to have a div. So now let me go to the web again and show you what's happening on the web. Look at, this is what we currently have. So remember, this is what you are trying to develop. And if you watch here, this is the contact. This contact is this contact. So let's start creating all of this. Remember, what you are creating now is only the HTML code first. After the HTML, we'll go and create the CSS part. So now what we are going to do now, let's create a div that will hold each of this form. Okay, each of this form here. We are going to create HTML that will hold each of this form. So now let's start creating those HTML. This first one, the HTML, we're going to give it a class of form group. Let's give it a class of form group. This will be form group. Inside it, remember, inside the form group, we'll have this is the label and this is the input. Okay, so we'll have the label, we'll have the input, and here as well, we'll have the label. This one is the text area. Okay, so let me quickly do that now. This is just like, let me just give a quick example. Like when you are working with a Figma design or an Adobe design, maybe they give you the design to work on. So you just look at it and emulate it, like recreate what you are doing here to recreate what we have here right now. So let's go back to our code again. So we are going to write the label. Let's write the label. The name of the label will be name. Okay, remember is the name. So we'll write the input, the input tag. So the input tag, we are going, the first one, remember is name. We're going to give it type. Remember the input has type attributes. We're going to give it a type of text. What this means that the input is going to take a text. Okay, it's going to be a type of text. Then we're going to give it an ID of name. So this is going to take an ID of my name. So now the next one, let's give it a name. Remember, when if you are writing a code, if you want to submit your form, it's going to have a name. You use this name now will pick any value of this input. When you access this input and access the name you give this, you can use it and access the value of this form. Okay, but now we are not submitting the form, we are just creating the UI with HTML and CSS. So now this will be, let's give it required. And what does required do? Let me show you something. Let me just complete this. So let me go back to the code again. If you watch here now, we have this form. We have this form here. This is name. And now this is the name input. If you look at it, what is going to take is the name. I can see my name is Tempo. I can just write Tempo here. Okay. Assuming if you have the submit button, if you want to submit and if nothing is inside it, with that required attribute, you cannot submit it. If you click that submit, it's not going to work. You look at it. If I hit enter key, it's going to tell me to please input something. Okay, if I hit that enter key again now, it's going to say please fill that it will show me that error message. Okay, please fill out the field. So now let me go back again and let's create more input. Let's create the one for the email and the one for the message. So I'll just copy this down here. History. I'll also give that each of the div each of these div, I'm going to give the class of form group. So inside this one, we're going to call it email. So this is going to be a type of email. We also have a type of email, we have a type of number, we have type of date, and a lot of them. Okay, so this one now we're going to call this, we're going to change the type. This one now we're going to, let's call this message. Now this input type, we're going to change it. Let's use the text area because we want to take in the message. Let me write text area. The name will be message. The ID, I'm going to give it ID of message as well. The name will be message, ID of message. And well, let's give it a row. We don't need the column. We don't need the column. Let me just take off this column. Let's give it a column of, we just need six rows. Sorry, let's give it a row of 6. This is 6 is okay. So let me go back and say this is type of email. So look at what we have here now. This is the name, this is email, this is the text box. This is the text area. Okay, so the text area takes, if I think that rule is not rule of 6. It should, let me check some. No, our row is not working fine. Let me reload it. Okay, we'll use CSS and handle it. So now let's give this let's give this required. This is required. Let's give this required as well. Let's make this to be required. Remember what the required does. The required will not allow you to submit the form if that input is not well filled. If the input has no content, the required will not allow you to submit. It's going to throw that error and tell you to fix that, to fill in the field. Okay, so now let's just quickly continue. So this is our form. I think we are pretty good with our HTML. And let me go back and see what we are missing here. The form, okay, we have not added the button. Let's add the button as well. It's going to be the same. Let me create this again. It's going to be let's create a button. Let me remove this. You don't need oops. Let me remove this and create a button. And the button is going to, let me call it submit. Then give it a type of, let's give it a type of submit. Okay, there is, if you want to make it some, but you can just give it a type of button, so that since we are not submitting this one to any server. Okay, so this is gonna be the type of let's use the type of button here. Let's go back again and see what you. So now I have this button. If you want to submit now, is it type of, okay, let me change it to type of button submit. You see the difference between the type of button and submit. So if I click this now, it's a type of submit. If I click it now, it's easy to submit. But if I change it to button, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to be like a normal input. It's just going to be a normal button. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue, guys. So what I'm going to do now, I think we are pretty good with our HTML. Let's head to our CSS. So I will come here and create a CSS file, and I will call it style.css. So now we are going to start creating our CSS. We have created this CSS file. What you're going to do now is quickly bring in that file here. How do you do it? How do you do this? You write this link tag inside the head tag. Remember, it must be inside the head tag, and I'll call it styles. This href is pointing to this file name. This is the file part. It's pointing to this file part. Okay, so I'll choose this. If I choose this now, the relationship is style sheet. We have our CSS file imported in our HTML. So let's confirm if this is working. I'll come here and I'll just write body and give it a background color of let me give it a background color of blue or black, just to confirm if it's fine. So our CSS is well imported, it's fine. Okay, so let me quickly remove this. It was just to debug and check if it's working. So now the next step is there's something we call reset. Let me call it reset. There's something we call reset in let me reset, and I'll just comment this out. I'll comment this out. Then I will say I'll use the universal selector, which is the asterisk. Then I will say the padding. I will explain what this means in detail. The padding is 0, margin is 0. Okay, then box size, and I'm going to give it a border box. I will show you what this means. So now what this means is that this is called the reset. Okay, I'm trying to remove every padding or margin that comes by default with the browser. Like, see now, you see, if you check here and you see that there's no longer all those external space, all this extra space has been, we have removed it. All those external space, when you create a website initially, the browser gives it a default padding and margin, but we use this asterisk, this reset, to remove those default padding and margin size. So if I comment this and go back again, you see now look at it, we have extra space here, we have extra margin and extra padding here. So you use that reset to remove all those extra spaces that comes by default through the browser. So now if you come again here, I've removed it. So now as well, we can also give it a font, or we can just give it a font family. Or let me just let's go to the body and give it this thing we want. Let me start creating the body. And I'll call this body. Then the body, I'm going to give the body background image. I want to give the body background. Remember what you're trying to do here now. We are done with our CSS. I want to style this. I want to make it to look as beautiful as this one. All right, so we're going to use CSS. So what we want to do now is to add this background body. Let's add this background body. Then we'll give this the background body also has a little color in it. Has a little color with it. So we're going to add it, give it a little color. Okay, we're going to give it a little color. Then add this, just bring this into the center, make it justify content, center, underline. So let's just quickly start. I think it's better we'll start writing the code, that way you understand it. So we're going to give it the background image. Remember how to put your background image. Write the background image and give it URL. So now we need the image. We need image. How do you get the image? There's an image I have on my desktop. Look at this image here. I'll open this stuff here. Look at this image I have here. You can use image of your choice. So I'm going to drag and drop it inside that folder. Inside this folder I just created. Look at it here. I'm going to drag. I'll just drag it. This is the contact us folder I just created. So I just drag that image and drop it inside there. And that's why you can also drag it and drop it inside your VS Code and to come here. Look at that image. BG1 is the name of the image. So this is the image I'm going to look at the image here. This is the image I'm going to use. So I'll come to my CSS here. I'll just write the URL will be, you put your quotation mark, then put dot that will point to the directory of that image. look at it there. It's highlighting this BG. I'll choose this BG. Well, that's the name of the image. So if you come here and look at it now, we have that image. It's repeating. The image is repeating. If you see, it's different from the what you have there. It's repeating. So you have let's start this image and remove all this repeating and all that. And how do you do that? You do that with using the, first of all, let's give the background image. Let's give it background position. Let's give it center. Then I think the CSS part is a little bit, that's the most difficult part of this. CSS is much kind of difficult than the HTML, so you have to pay attention. So now let's say background repeat. Let's say no repeat. Let's say no repeat, so that that image will not repeat itself. You look at it, no repeat is only one. So now how do you make this now to cover this whole well? Let's give it a background. Let's give it background size. Let's give it the background size, and we'll say background size. We'll say cover. We're going to use it to cover everything. It's going to cover. Look at that cover. You see, it's covering everything. So now let's give it another thing we're going to do now. Let's give it, I think okay, let's give it background color. We're going to blend it to the background color. Let's give it background color. I'll show you how to add the background color to an image, background image. Okay, so I have a color I want to make use of. That's the RGB 185, 90, and 26. Let me say RGB, not RGBA, RGB 185. I will choose this 190. And remember, you can also use any color of your choice. This is just a color I just want to use and blend that stuff. I have a look at it here. You see, it has given it a similar color to this. So now I'm going to now say blend. Let me blend that color. If you see that color is not coming up to, let me blend it with this. We're going to use what we call background blend mode overlay. Background blend. Let me look for it here. I like to choose this to make background blend mode. There you blend mode overlay. Okay, so overlay. So let's see. You see that color as it has been attached with that background image. You see it here. So let me give it a font family of area, and let's give it a font family of area and the sans serif. I don't need this. Let me see this. Very nice. Okay, that is cool. It's cool. So just watch closely and see what you're doing. Okay. So I will just quickly let's quickly style that container. Let's style that container. I'll call this container. Remember, the container is that width that is holding everything inside our this thing. So let's give it a display of flares. Then let's give it justify content. Let's make it to sit at the center. Align items. I'll explain this. Align item center, and let's give it height of align item. Let's give it the height of that. I want to show you what that height will do. If you let me go to that web again. If you come here now, this stuff, if you see now, is not taking this whole width. So we are going to give that container. Look at the container is at center. We're going to give it a height of 100 view. Let's give it a 100 view, 100 VH. That is a view, right? So if you look at it now, you see it has taken the full width because we have given that. See what I did? This justify content is the display is flex. Okay, so now we'll give it justify content center. When you give it that center, it will make it. Let me remove that align items so that you see what I mean. I'm trying to run this very quickly because of time. So if I bring this here now, that justify content display flex is going to, when you give it a display of flex, it's going to make it to be in a row. Then when you give it that justify content center, it's going to make it to sit at the center. If I remove that justify content center, if I remove this now, you see this is going to come at the very starting point of this web. So if I give it that justify content center, it's going to make it to sit at the center, just like the name the way it's going to make it to sit at the center. Align items is going to make it to sit at the center vertically. It's going to make it to sit at the center vertically. Okay, so the direction of this flex is row. When you give it a direction of flex direction of column, align item is going to make it to sit at this way. Okay, so let me just come here and remove this. Let me show you what I mean so that we don't confuse things. You see that align items to make it now to sit at this center. Remember, justify content is bringing it at this center, at the horizontal center. Align items is going to make it to be at the vertical center. This condition applies when the flex direction is row. By default, flex direction is row by default. Flex direction, there's what, let me show you flex direction. Flex direction is row by default. Is row by default. So we don't need to include. If I include it here, nothing is going to happen. It's going to be the same. But see, by default it's row. So if you want to change it, you can now say column. That's when you want to change it on your own taste. You can now say column, but now we are not making use of this column. If you want to change this now, it's going to give you another direction. So let's remove it and let's forge ahead. Now we have our stuff here seated at the center, just like this one, pretty good. Okay, so let's continue. We're going to start. Let's go to that form wrapper. Let's go to our HTML and be sure what you call it. We call it form. Let me copy this class name. I think we really need to run very quickly because of time. So I'll just choose this and I will now say background color. I will say RGBA. I'm going to pick RGBA. Oops, what do I do? I want to give this background, this stuff the background color. I want to give this stuff here background color. Then give it the pattern that will make it to increase like that with the border radius and all the stuff. Then okay. So let's quickly do this. Let's do this. I'll call it background color. Background color. I'm going to say RGBA of I have color I want to use. I will say 477. Remember, you can as well use color of your choice. This alpha, look at this color. This color will give you that particular. This alpha part is going to be the opacity which you want at the rate which you want that the opacity is if you look here very well, you see that we are seeing that image. You are still seeing that image a little. If I give it opacity of 1, it's good. You will not be able to see that transparency of that. Let me give it 1. You see now you don't see that image again. But let's give the opacity. Let's give it opacity of 0.3. You'll not be able to see through it. Okay, that's what opacity does. So now we'll give it let's give it a padding of 20 pixel, bottom, top, and left and right, 20 pixel padding. This padding, when you give it just one number, it means bottom, top, left, and right. But when you give it like, let's say like 2, I give another, let's say 30 pixel. This one means top and bottom. This first one means top and bottom 20, left and right 30. Okay, you can as well do 3. Okay, so now we are using only bottom, top. So now let's add it. Let's give it a border radius of 10 pixel. Let's give a border radius of 10 pixel, right? Okay, so look at what the border is going to give you, that sharp bend corner. Look at it here. Okay, so if you see, it's looking very pretty like this one. So now let's go again. Let's give it a border radius. Let me show you what border radius is. Border radius, you look at here, there's a little this thing shadow. Sorry, let's give body shadow. Look at this box shadow here. There's a little shadow. Okay, so let's give it that shadow. Let's give it that shadow. Box shadow. Box shadow takes in few problems. Let me show you 2 pixel. I'll explain this. I like to write this thing down so that you understand what it means. 5 pixel. Then the next one will be the color, RGBA color. Let me give it RGB. I'm going to say 0, 0, 0. That's a black. Then opacity of 0.3. Okay, I love to use RGBA. It has this opacity property, and you can as well use hex. Okay, so now if I come here now, this box size shadow is a little bit difficult to understand. You have to pay very attention. This first one is the horizontal shadow. The second one is the vertical. The other one is the rate of the blur. Then this one is the color. Okay, so if you come here and look at, we have that box, we have that shadow. Now look at it. Look at that shadow here. Okay, so now let's give it a width of. Let me give it a width so that to make it to increase. Let's give it a width of 40 pixel. Let's give it a width of 40 pixel. What's going on? Oh, sorry, 40%. I'm supposed to use 40%, not pixel. Okay, you see now I think it's bigger than this one. Let's give it let's decrease it to 30. Let's decrease this to 30. Okay, so if you come here now, this is okay, fine, cool. Yeah, it's the same size with this one, 30. So now we have this. So what is the next thing to do? Let's go to that title. Let's target this title. Let's target this title and style it. Okay, look at if you're working on a project, make sure, let's change this thing to title. This is supposed to be title. When you're working on a project, make sure you pick each problem one by one, single. Break down your problems into a smaller portions, make it smaller portions. Okay, don't pack everything at the same time. Like if you watch what you have been doing here, we'll pick the background color, we style it, we'll pick the particular problem and solve it. That's the way to work. So when you're coding, you have a very good understanding of your code, and another person will be able to read your code as well. Okay, so if you come here, make sure you target this. When you target this, now let's target that title and style it. We call it title, and what do you want to do with it? Title. What do you want to increase that font size? Let's increase the font size. And what is this font size? What does font size do? The font size will increase. Look at it, has increased it. Let me remove that. It will increase it. Okay, so now let's give it a text align. Let's make it to come at the center. Text align will make it to come at the center. We'll say, oops, center. What's happening with my keyboard? This is center. Okay, so if you come here, it will bring it to the center. All right, it's sitting at the center. I think it's very close to this stuff here. Let's give it a padding button to shift it up. Okay, and also change the text color. Let's give it a margin. Okay, let's use margin bottom. We'll say margin bottom of 20 pixel. All right, oops, 20 pixel, not pz. Don't write please. We'll give it a color. Let's change the color. We'll give it a little RGB color. RGB color of it's something like a little gray. 53. I have this colors. I want to make use of 52 and 52 again. I think, yeah, it's going to be like a little gray. Look at it. Look at that color. It's looking like kind of gray. So if you come here, yeah, I've changed the color, and the margin is working. So now let's quickly target the font group. Remember, I have that font group stuff. Let's call it font group. We are going to give it a display of block. Then we're going to give it a font width of bold. Then margin bottom of 5 pixels. Let me show you what we're trying to achieve with that font group. Look at this. If you come here now, let me go back to our HTML. This is our HTML. This is the font group. Each of these div have this font group class. Okay, so we're going to give it a margin button to make it to separate, to shift it, to give it space. Okay, so now we're also going to give it a bottom of 20 pixel. All right, so let me just quickly give it a bottom of 20 pixel. That font group, just let me just give it a I'm just thinking what I'm going to do with this stuff. Let me just remove this, but we don't need this display stuff. Let's just give it a margin bottom of 20 pixel. Let's see what you have. Yeah, okay, it's looking pretty like this one. It has spaced it. Okay, so now let's let's go to the label. Let's target this label. What is this font group label? This label, let's target it. Okay, let's target that label. Remember label, let's call it font group label. Remember label is display in line by default. So let's give it a display of block so that it will make, let's give it a block. You see what will happen. I will not save it. This block now is going to make this stuff. If you see this one is sitting on the top, the block, when you give it a block, is going to take a full width. Then this input will now will come under it. It will make it to take a full width. Okay, so let's give it a display of. If I save it now, look at what's going to happen. You see, it's sitting on under it. Okay, so now let's go back again. I'll give it a font weight of bold. Then I'll give it a margin button. Okay, font weight of bold. Then give it a margin button. And as well, I want to just talk about something. When you are coding, I said when you are coding, this is not just magic, okay? And as well, this code I'm writing, you can also write your own code and still produce the same result. This is not magic. You just look at this, and you already know that when you look at this design, you already know that this is a background color, this is a background image, okay? And this is just a simple stuff. It's not a magic. It's not. You don't cram code. Don't cram code. But what you have to apply is the rules. What works with what. Okay, that's what is most important. This code I'm writing, and if I want to write it again, I can also use different properties to write the same code. It's not code. You don't cram code. Okay, don't cram code. Just know that this thing applies there. You can also make mistake if you're a beginner. You don't have to be perfect when you are writing your code. You make mistake and you learn from it to make research and you grow. So code you don't cram it. It's not magic. This thing you are doing, you can also write it with different properties and also make it to look beautiful. Okay, that's what matters. Once it is fine, okay. So now let's go on. Let's target those forms. Let's make these forms to look big like this stuff here. Okay. So if you see that the name is already looking like this one, so let's target those forms. Those form inputs. Let's call it. Let me just copy this stuff down. Let me just copy this thing. So don't waste much time. I'll call this input. Let me just remove those stuff then already. Oops. So let's give it a width of. Let's first give it a width of 100%. If you look at here. You look at the size, it's not taking this full width. I want it to be like this. So I'm going to give it a width of 100% first. Okay. So let's give it a width of 100%. 100%. Ooh, cool. It's looking very nice. Okay. So let's give it a padding of 10 pixel bottom top. All right. So now let's also give it a border of let's give border radius. I think work for us. Border radius of 5 pixel. Okay. And let's give it let me show you what we have already, so you don't miss anything. Look at it here. The part that what increased this. So if you look at this now, the border radius is fine. It's looking like this one, but there's a little black color here that is making this thing to look odd. Let's remove it. Now what's that? That's a border. That's a border. Let's call it border. Let's give it border none. Border none. Okay. So now look at it. It has gone up. So we almost have our result here. So this border is so now let's target this. This is remember this one. What do you know why this one is not working on this one? Do you know why those input stuff is not working on that last time? Because this one is text area. This one's are input. This is text area. They are all from properties. Okay, they are all from HTML from properties. So now let me target that one now, and I will call it. I will do the same thing I did. Let me just copy this one down and paste it. Then change this one to text area. Change it to text area. Okay. So we're going to give it. I'm supposed to put this in border. So look at it. It's pretty good. Look at wow. Ooh, it's fine now. Let me check this stuff then. I want to see if it's the same thing. So it's almost the same thing. That's pretty good with this one. Oh, it's very fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, if you look at this now, you can resize this thing. I want to remove that property. If you look at this one, you cannot resize it. So I want to remove that property now. That's why I cannot use this thing to do a group, to group this styling. I cannot group it because I want to add other properties to it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say resize vertical, then resize. I'm going to call it, I'm going to say none. Resize. I'm going to say none. Okay. You see now you can no longer resize it. You can no longer drag that stuff like that and resize it. Okay. It has gone up. So now let's target our button. Let's just target our button. We're almost done. Let's just target our button. What did you call that button stuff? If I come here again, what did you call it? Okay, form group button. So we can just pretty copy this down, bring it down and say button. If I call this the button, then I can now say the button is not going to be a okay. What to give it a background color? Let me remove everything. Let's give it a background color of navy blue. I think that's what we have there. Let me use this navy stuff. It's not looking bad. Let's use navy blue. Then we're going to say color. We're going to give it color of white. FFF is white. Then we're going to give it a padding of. Let me show. I like when I'm explaining this. I like to be very practical so that you don't miss something. Look at that background color is that blue, that navy blue. Now the color of the text is now white. That's FFF. They want to give it a padding to make it to increase like this one. Then give it border radius. Okay. So let's look at this now. Let's give it a padding of. We'll give it a bottom top and bottom. We're going to give it 10 pixel. Okay, then left and right. Remember what I explained before. Left and right, we are going to give it 20 pixel. All right. So border, we're going to say border none. We are not going to give it any border. So that all the okay. Let me remove this first and show you, so that you know what I'm doing here. If you come here and look at, there is a little border color on it. So let me remove it. We use let's use a border none. We use border none. Okay. And as well, don't forget, if you have any question, reach out to me. I'm going to answer you, okay? Find a way and reach out to me. I'm going to answer. If you have any question, don't forget, okay? So now this is a border. Yeah, we'll remove that border. Then let's give it, I think this, let's give it border radius. Let's give border radius. Border radius of what? Border radius of let's give it 5 pixels, all right? Okay, cool. I think we'll have our results. There's a little problem again. If I click on it, it doesn't the mouse doesn't change stuff. The mouse is just looking at nothing is happening. Let me give it a cursor of pointer. Okay, so you can also add this in border radius. Okay, you can put border radius here. So when you can give this in a hover effect. So when you hover on it, it will change color. You can just simply do, oops, I think yes. You can just simply copy everything down here and give it and say on hover. All right, so everything going to be just pretty good. Just give it, remove only the background color. Let's remove this one, so we don't need it. We don't need to write a redundant code. So this is going to be non-navy blue. Let me choose it again. Then take a lighter color from it. Can just do something lighter from down there. So when you hover over it, you should look at that now. Look at that stuff here. So I think we are pretty good. We are done. Okay, so this is a pretty simple code I've just written to create this thing. So please guys, make sure you subscribe. There's a very little way to support my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. If you have gotten to this stage, please make sure you subscribe. Okay, let's take a very simple 3 steps. Subscribe, like, and share this tutorial. This way, if you subscribe, you have a lot of things to earn. You have a lot of things to gain. They are not going to charge you, and every time I produce a course, you are going to get it firsthand. Okay, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. That is a very simple way to support what I'm doing and encourage my channel. They don't charge you for it. Just hit the subscribe button, guys, and like. Okay, comments, reach out to me if you have any question. I'm going to answer you. I will leave down my Twitter handle there. Just make sure you reach out to me if you have any question. If you want a mentor, I'm available for you guys. Thank you. See you next time. Okay, next week I'm going to be dropping, every week I'm dropping tutorial courses. Okay, see you guys.